I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. Today is another recent video games pickups video and it is themed around Nintendo Switch games, including my 100th physical Switch game pickup. Let you know early on, it's not some big fantastical mega deluxe collector's edition or rare game or anything. It just so happens to be the 100th game that I got. So I'm not going to hype it up as a big game. It's just, I now own 100 physical Switch games. That's pretty cool. And the number 100 is shown off here. Firstly though, I want to go over some custom made instruction manuals. I've shown some of these off before because I bought some previously. I think for Mario Odyssey and I think one of the Pokemon games. Yeah, and I bought some more. I'll link to this seller down below, his Etsy account. Absolutely fantastic quality. Bought some before, showed them off before. Yeah, so now buying these, I believe I own all of the instruction manuals for the games that I own. So I'm obviously missing, the Zelda ones because fuck Zelda games. Yeah, Zelda sucks. Yeah, so I picked up, for one of my favourite games of last year, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Also, Pokemon Legends Arceus, fantastic. And Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Yeah, these are fantastic, really good quality. Especially the Mario World is absolutely thick as hell. That's going to be really fun trying to fit that into the Switch thin cases, but it will do. Yeah, these are excellent quality, really, really good. Unofficial as hell, of course, but yeah, it's just so nice that someone out there is doing what Nintendo don't, and it isn't Sega. Yeah, so in here with Bowser's Fury and Super Mario 3D World, you've got a checklist for all the stars in each level that you can check off if you want. Personally, I wouldn't ruin the manual by writing in it. Yeah, really, really cool. You've got a separate entry at the back for Bowser's Fury, Legends Arceus. Yeah, just basically an instruction manual, nothing particularly fantastic there. And Kirby and the Forgotten Land showing off, again, a checklist for all the worlds if you want, and whatnot. Yeah, really, really cool, excellent quality, good price, so usually about a tenner each, sometimes they go on sale. Yeah, so I'll link below the Etsy for these if you want to pick them up. Absolutely fantastic. And now into the video games. Yes, so we have... firstly, where is it? Yeah, I can't remember if I showed this off in a previous video or not. Just going to do it anyway now. Clive and Wrench, a 3D platformer created mostly by just a single person, and it is based on the incredible 3D platformers, mostly of the PS1 era. Have to really get that across because with the name Clive and Wrench and the way that you have two characters, a lot of people tend to think, ooh, Ratchet and Clank from the PS2 days, or Banjo-Kazooie from the N64. But while it has similarities to N64 games, of course, it is mainly based on PS1 3D platformers, which I think were very different in a lot of ways from N64 3D platformers. Yeah, so this came out to a very mixed reaction. I was very disappointed to see some reviews for it because... yes, while everyone can have an opinion about games, whether they like it or not, I don't like Zelda games. People will think they're the greatest games in the world. It's just me. And people can dislike this game, absolutely. But when I read some of the reviews as to why they didn't like it, I swear they played a different game entirely. Because they were complaining about things that aren't there. So, it was very weird. Personally, I love it. I'm going to talk a hell of a lot more in depth about it. I've got a review script written. I did want to get the review out literally within a week of the game coming out because I got the game, it actually came a day early, and I played it over 3 days, recorded all the footage. I had a script written a couple of days after that and I was all ready to get it recorded and out within a week, and mental health issues surfaced and I didn't get anything done. But yeah, I will have a full in-depth review of this game. Cannot wait to show it off. Like I said, I can't remember if I showed this game off already, but yeah. Clive and Wrench, fantastic 3D platformer. Pick it up. Next we have the Atari 50 Anniversary Collection. Managed to get this nice and cheap, and it is a really fun package rather than just a fun collection of games, because obviously you have a ton of Atari games, going back to the original early arcade titles, the 2600, onwards all the way up to even the Atari Jaguar, which is really fun because the system's kind of notorious for being crap. It's expensive to buy and they don't work that often. So it's really fun to have games from all those years, including the bad ones. It's got a really, really fun presentation. We can go through a timeline of all the years. You can get information about all the games. There are interviews and videos and things on it. Really, really fun. And like I said, there's a huge collection of Atari games on there. Going to the arcade, the 2600, the Atari Lynx, the handheld, the Jaguar, everything. Some games are really fun. Some games are kind of garbage, but it's nice that they're all here in a big collection. There will be some big well-known games from Atari systems missing because they weren't made by Atari. These are ones that were actually made, published, produced, whatever, by actually Atari, not just on Atari systems. So some people will think, oh, this game's not on there. It's like, yeah, because Activision made that, not Atari. It's not an Activision collection. So just keep that in mind. It's really cool as well. If you remember, I certainly was introduced to them first in the AVGN video with like the water world, the fire world, the ice world or whatever, the wind world. Those 4 games that were going to be made and you had to complete them, write down a code or whatever, send it in, and you could win these genuine like treasures as prizes. But the 4th game was never made, and the competition just ended and disappeared. And where did the items go? Some say was it Jack Trammell? I think his name was. I think he claimed he had the sword from one of the prizes in his office or something. They actually made the 4th game for this collection, which is just a really cool thing to have. A game from the early 80s that was never made or never completed or whatever, finally finished and put in the collection all these years later. Really cool. And there are also a couple of like remade games with a bit more modern graphics and more fun. There's I think a version of can't remember the name of it. I'll have some footage shown. Really fun. Like I said, so we got some new reworked, remastered style of old games, a collection of all these old games, including Cybermorph. Where did you learn to fly? Yep, that's in here. Just an absolute blast, and the fact that they made the game that never came out, just cool. It's one of the better collections, really, like I said, in terms of presentation. In terms of actual games, there were maybe only 3 or 4 that I would actively go back to and play on here. So the game selection's not the best, but just the overall package is one of the best, and I think other game companies should look at this as the gold standard for that. So really, really fun, and I talked about that for far too long. Okay, another game I got in a sale, nice and cheap. I was going to pick it up when it came out, but I thought, I'll wait until it goes on sale. Went on sale, picked it up. SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. 3D platformer set in the SpongeBob world. Now, I have never actually seen a single episode of SpongeBob. Never seen an episode, haven't seen any of the films. I've only ever seen clips here and there, yeah. But I really liked the Battle for Bikini Bottom back in the day. I've got the original Xbox version, the remaster that came out, the hydrated version. Really, really fun. I'm just a sucker for 3D platformers, especially those with the collectathon style and kind of like a Mario 64 style. We go into a level, you got multiple objectives, blah, 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 blah. So Cosmic Shake was absolutely one that I wanted to pick up. It does feel a little bit more linear than Battle for Bikini Bottom, but everything else about it, super duper fun. I've only played a little bit so far just to record footage because I've been busy playing other games, but yeah, I'm absolutely going to go back and finish this at some point. And yeah, it was a budget title when it released to begin with, and then I got it on sale for even cheaper, so I'm very happy with that, and it'd be cool if they keep making them. So yeah. One of the big releases for early this year that I was absolutely super hyped for, had it on pre-order as soon as it was up for pre-order, played through it all the way through as soon as it came out, Octopath Traveler 2. I adored the first game when it came out. It was exclusive to the Switch at the time. And the HD 2D graphics, just phenomenal. And it's so nice to see that those are being used for other games now. We got the upcoming Dragon Quest 3 remake done in those graphics. I hope we get some info about that soon. Like, is it actually coming out this year now or what? Yeah, but Octopath Traveler 2, Graphics have slightly improved, they look a bit nicer, the soundtrack is just as awesome as it was. The battle system was one of my favourite battle systems in any JRPG ever from the first game. That's been brought over with a couple of new additions. I wouldn't say the new additions really make it any better or any worse or anything. They're not like spectacular, but it's just nice to have something tiny, little bit different added to it. What's big here with the difference from the first one is how all the stories do actually finally connect at the end and not at some random post-game boss that a lot of people probably won't encounter. Here, almost everything comes together naturally. That's really cool. The stories are much more interesting, the characters are much more interesting, minus one of them who is utterly pointless in the entire game. They might as well not be there. Their story does not connect to anything, minus one small NPC that you run into a couple of times and has no effect on anything. They're just kind of shoehorned into the big story at the end that they were randomly part of it. Yeah. But other than that, fantastic. Had an absolute blast with it. The characters are great. The story's great for all the different characters and things like that. The battle system's just as good as ever. The locations are wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite JRPG series, and there's only been 2 of them. So, yeah. Then we had a remaster of a Nintendo Wii game. Here it was called Kirbys Adventure Wii. Yeah, outside of the UK and Japan, it was called Return to Dreamland. So they just stuck with that name, and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Return to Dreamland, but shinier HD graphics and of the Switch. As for new content, I'm not entirely sure what's new because I only played through a bit of the main story with the Wii version, so I don't know if any of the extra other bits were in that or not. Probably not, but yeah. It's Kirby. It's a 2D Kirby game. You get exactly what a 2D Kirby game always is. Fun, not too difficult, but fun. It's just fun. Kirby games are fun. Obviously we had, Forgotten Land, the first Kirby game in full 3D, and that was spectacular and a new take on the series. This is not a new take on the series, it is literally an old take on the series because it's a remaster. It's Kirby going around sucking up enemies, taking the powers, going through different levels, occasionally solving some puzzles with the powers. Yeah, I breezed through almost the entire game in a few days, just playing it every now and then. I'm up to the last world now, I believe, but I stopped playing it because other games came out. Mainly The Legend of Heroes Trails to Azure, that was the one. I immediately dropped this and started playing that. I've already shown that off in a pickups video, an unboxing one because I got the collector's edition, but yeah. So just need to play through the final world of this. It's an absolute blast, really, really fun. If you like 2D Kirby games, you're going to like this because it's a 2D Kirby game. Yeah. Then we have another remaster from the GameCube, and that is Metroid Prime Remastered. Got the physical collection, the physical version here. For some reason it came out 2 weeks later in Europe than it did in the US physically. Why, I don't know, but yeah. So I pre-ordered it. It's always funny when things like this happen. It came out in the US and people couldn't get copies of it, and there were scalpers everywhere and selling it for ridiculous prices. Over here in the UK, you can go onto pretty much any gaming website and pre-order it at a very cheap price, lower than RRP. No issues. It's usually the same even here. It's always weird. We don't really have the stock issues unless it's like a limited edition and exclusive to my Nintendo, and then things all go to hell because that website crashes when 4 people look on it at the same time. But this, easy as hell to get hold of, yeah. Metroid Prime, I own the original on the GameCube. I own it, the part of the trilogy on the Wii, just digitally, and now I own the remaster on the Switch. So Metroid Prime, it's basically the same game, just looks really nicer and fancy, and yeah, looking forward to playing through it in HD. Oh, now this game I did have trouble getting because it wasn't exclusive to my Nintendo, although it wasn't originally supposed to be. See, I pre-ordered it on another website completely, and then the day it was supposed to release, Nintendo said, no, actually, all those pre-orders have been cancelled. You can now only pre-order it from us, but we're not telling you when you can pre-order it. Yeah. And then the first set of pre-orders went live, sold out immediately, and I didn't find out that the pre-orders had gone live until after they'd sold out. So I signed up to the mailing list, and months later, I woke up early. Like, really early. Normally I'm kind of up in the afternoon because I don't sleep well and depression, blah, blah, blah. I woke up at like 8 o'clock in the morning for some reason, and I just looked at my phone, saw I had an email. Oh, from Nintendo. You registered interest in this product. Yes, I did. Clicked on it, so I had to click on the link, log in to my Nintendo, which was a bit of a pain because I was doing it on my phone rather than my computer because I was in bed and still a bit groggy. I had to try and remember my password because I don't use my phone that much for browsing the internet, so I don't have to log in saved or anything on there. I had to log into that, then I had to click this special link, and then I had to wait in a queue, which thankfully was only a couple of minutes long. Then I could finally add it to basket, check out, and it came about a week later. And that is the physical edition of Bayonetta 1. Whew, that was a long story, wasn't it, children? Yeah, so Bayonetta, I do own 1 and 2 on the Switch already. 2 had a physical edition with 1 as a download. So it just came with a download code for Bayonetta 1. Really weird, but okay. And I do own 1 and 2 physically right here on the Wii U when they came out. Really cool. Yeah, but I did want to own 1 physically if it was going to get a physical edition, so I did. And here it is. It's Bayonetta. It's really fun. It's got that crazy, hack and slash action. It's got Bayonetta herself, who, just witty. It's kind of like a Deadpool type character. She uses her sex appeal in every situation possible. Yeah, it's just really fun, really cool game. Finally glad to own it. Physical was a bit of a pain to get hold of, but I'm glad I did. And I didn't have to go on eBay and pay triple the price from some lame scalper or anything like that. So, yay! Whew. I've been talking for what feels like forever. This is going to be a long video. And anyway, finally, my 100th physical Switch game. Yep, number 100. Again, it's nothing special, don't hype it up or anything. It's just a fun game. I've been wanting it on the Switch for a while. I saw it was actually on offer. I got it cheap, so I bought it. I already own it on the PS4, but I've been wanting the Switch version for a while because, handheld. And that is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. I love me the Tony Hawk's games, especially the originals back in the day. And this is a fantastic way to experience those games again. Because you got the updated graphics that just look really, really, really good. Almost all of the original soundtrack is here, which is an immense achievement. 20 years on to get almost all of the original bands, to agree to license the music back into the game. A couple didn't, for whatever reason. Maybe they wanted too much money, maybe they just said no. I don't know, but almost everything's in there. And then you have the cool ability to play the original Tony Hawk's game using the more, the newer technical thingy-majiggies mechanics. That's the word I'm looking for. The new mechanics of some of the newer games. Like, for example, Tony Hawk's 2 introduced manuals. Tony Hawk's 1 did not have manuals. You can play Tony Hawk's 1 with the original mechanics, or you can play with manuals. Then you also have reverts. Is it reverts or reverbs? Reverts, I think. They were not in either of the original Tony Hawk's games. But you can play them with that feature if you want, or without. Really, really cool. You can also turn on cheat modes if you want and play the game just however you want, whatever. And you can choose to play through 1 or 2 anytime you want. Lots of unique missions that you can do, so if you, score a particular high score, as well as getting the tape or whatever that you get for completing it in the actual game, you will then earn an achievement within the game to earn in-game money or prizes and things like that, so you can choose a new skateboard. And yeah, it's really, really cool, really fun the way they did it. There is an internet download required. which is basically the entire game. Same on the PS4, at least the version I have. I don't know if they re-release a disc, but I actually wanted to play the game a while back, before I got this one, on the PS4, and I put it in, and I remembered, oh, my PS4 hard drive died the last a while back, and I haven't played the game since, so I'd have to re-download the software update. I just thought, no, I'll play anyway. The update's probably just some online thing anyway. No, only the tutorial's available unless you download the update, and that's the same for this, unfortunately. Yeah, but still absolutely fantastic, an amazing way to play those first two Tony Hawk's games, which in my opinion were the best two. Yeah, so fantastic, and it's just really cool for this to be my 100th Nintendo Switch game. So there we have it, some new Nintendo Switch pickups, as well as those manuals, my 100th physical Switch game. Whew, a lot to talk about there. Well, I'm bigcal, thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of my Switch pickups. Let me know what pickups you've got for the Nintendo Switch as of late. And I'll see you again next time.